Whoa! That one fell off the rails. What's going on, everybody? That was the worst CP impression yet. I'm David Bray. It is what episode is it? 788 of FRL. We got John Kozak here in the studio. We're about to cap off a complete week. The trio of me, John Kozak, and A-teamer Ben Askren.
We might just be the new team. We might just say, you guys, sorry, you got schooled.
That's right. You put in the backups. They kill it.
Yeah.
They're starters now.
Tom Brady situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could be a Tom Brady situation. And, man, speaking of legends who retire and then unretire and then maybe they are retired, Gable Steveson, the news is out. He put it on his Instagram story, and then he took it off his Instagram story.
He likes to do that.
He said, after much thought, I've decided to decline the Final X spot. Keep my seat warm for me. I'll be back to take over the world once again. See you when that time comes. So, how long we got to keep this seat warm? What's going on?
I don't know. I thought it was probably, after a few things I'd heard recently, I was leaning towards that he was going to accept just kind of in the last minute for the sake of drama, because it adds to it. So I was actually kind of surprised when he did not accept the spot. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to just wait 2023.
Yeah, when I was thinking about it last night or yesterday afternoon before we found out, my thought was like, he's gonna make his WWE money anyway. So like anything, it's not like compared to that, it's not like wrestling money is going to be huge for him, but it's on top of, it's in addition to whatever he would make, and he's the guy that's in the position to probably win the world, for sure, the spot and potentially the world championships. We haven't seen that Zare match, but I was like, well, I don't know, why not? If you're building your fans, as you're building your brand in the WWE, why not? So I don't know. I wanted to see it happen. I was rationalizing it in my head.
Maybe obviously it was a case of not understating expectations in meaning like the WWE said, maybe they hadn't clearly gone over with him how much they wanted to use him or how much they wanted to practice with him. Or, I know obviously I visited the Performance Center in October of 2020, and especially in those guys' early days in the WWE, like they're expected to be there a lot, whether they're working on like their promos or they're working on their in-ring stuff. Like they're expected to be there on a very regular basis. Once they get a little older, they have a lot more freedom. So maybe it's one of those things where he wasn't, he didn't know what the expectation was going to be. I'm just guessing, right? Because we've seen kind of a back and forth over the last month and a half, and so maybe it was, hey, they expect him to, hey, go finish for your college season and then come over here and then we'll get to work. And he thought it was only be a little bit and ended up being a lot, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. Just because right now, he's not in front of the camera all that often, and I don't know how time intensive the work that he's doing is, and if he's still finishing up his semester, then why not extend it a little while? But it's not going to happen.
I mean, the guys that were trying to, so at the Performance Center they call it Next, right? They were the guys who were like the newbies, right, that were just trying to make it, like they were doing long days, right? They were training in ring every day. Then they would obviously do like a strength conditioning workout type stuff. They would work on their promos. There's all kinds of stuff that they would do. I mean, I don't know if Jacob Casper, he was there. He was literally when I was there was like his first week where he was like moving in, so he would probably be able to give us a lot better understanding of what it's like. I don't even know if they're allowed to talk about it or not. No idea. But yeah, it was time intensive for a lot of those guys. I don't know if that'll be the case for Gable.
Yeah, I wonder how much work they do on their promos and like what does that look like? Does it look like drama class or like what is it? What's the format?
Well, in the one they had so on one of them they were like doing like so they would say for the older guys like the guys who've been there forever, like they would essentially for a match they would say like, hey, do this, right? They like 5 things, like let's hit these things, and then they could improvise with each other because they've been doing it so long. But with the new guys, they actually like drilled all the moves like this and this and this and this, and like they were drilling it back and forth, and they'd practice it a bit. No, do it again. No, do it again. No, do it again. Like get it right.
Yeah.
And then obviously same thing kind of with the promos is like they would cut a promo and then they would get feedback from one of the coaches. Hey, no, here's what we did well. Here's what we did poorly. Kind of like practicing anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. That seems like an area too where Gable's going to get a lot better probably.
I mean, he's already done a good job of like not stringing us along, but like keeping the conversation around Gable Steveson for another month, 2 months. And I feel like that's what he's going to do, even just because he knows he has the wrestling community and like we want him to be involved. We want him to wrestle. And so it's good. I mean, it's good on him to promote himself and to kind of keep us interested in talking about him. But it sounds like he's really interested. So I would wonder if, it's 24, like Olympics is the thing that he would really bring him back. And I could see even WWE like saying like, yeah, let's do that. Let's have a current wrestler win the Olympics. That could be.
Yeah, I mean that'd be huge for them for sure.
I think,
and I know they obviously had that with Brock, where Brock kind of went back and forth from real, fighting mixed martial arts to WWE, and then kind of, I think during his UFC time he would even make appearances here and there, and then obviously went back, and then told the idea of coming back to WWE or sorry back to MMA. It just kind of was like in the middle there for a long time.
Yeah, you got to imagine Gable's had conversations with Brock. I think in 2012, didn't somebody come back or at least talk about coming back for the Olympic trials?
Who?
Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, I think, talked about.
Oh my God, he did, and it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, and so like even then, it's the idea of coming back can be maybe some form of promotion. Did he even wrestle?
At that time he was like in his mid 40s, I think. Mm-hmm. Right? Was it 20? Yes, I didn't remember that until you said that. But yeah, that was yeah, he did. He for sure did.
2012, like the stars were coming out because Cejudo came back. Mm-hmm. He hadn't wrestled in forever. Kurt Angle, I don't even know if he actually wrestled, but he. Up until like right before he said he was going to, and then the other one was Rulon Gardner, who was nowhere near making weight, but he was like in the venue and stuff, and so you could tell that he never actually intended on wrestling because he was supposed to wrestle, and then like the day before the Olympic trials, he made an announcement that he wasn't going to wrestle, and then like an hour later he made an announcement that he was on the broadcast team, which they don't tend to throw people on the broadcast team 1 hour after they pull out of the tournament. So I think that was probably how it works. But anyway, maybe we'll see him in 2024.
Let's get you in there.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see him in 2024, but we'll probably at least have to speculate about whether or not he'll be in 2024. Mm-hmm. So I just wish he would say he's in or not, but I guess, it's probably it probably gets us talking about it more if we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, international news down in Acapulco. We knew this place was dangerous before JD went there.
JD set this up. JD probably set this up.
He could have set this up. We got people absconding everywhere out there in Acapulco. It's Ishmael Barrero, the 2-time Olympic gold medalist for Cuba. He's on the run. He's fled the Cuban team for probably pretty obvious reasons. Not a great place to call home. But Ishmael Barrero went to Pan Am's for for this, went to Mexico for Pan Am's, and now he's just, who knows what he's doing in Acapulco. BBC's covering it. This is global news.
Yeah, I mean, guys, how many freaking Cubans have defected now? It feels like the rate's even picking up and they're doing younger, because obviously we have younger Bastida, we had Echemendia, Yoel Romero's an old one, Alexis Rodriguez, I believe, is in Italy somewhere, Chimizo's in Italy. It just seems like it's happening more and more. Obviously, the communist Cuba is not a nice place to live, and they're all leaving. If your Olympic champions are leaving, and they're probably the ones in a dictatorship like that, they're probably the ones that are being treated the best. Man, it's got to be not good down there.
Yeah, it's happened. I think, like you mentioned, consistently for a number of years. Athletes have left, but according to this BBC article, it's picking up. It's like getting worse. More and more athletes are defecting. High level athletes. Talked about a couple sailors. And if you're a sailor, you're very well equipped to flee. You just hop on.
You just need a boat.
I think they would just ban that sport.
Yeah,
the sailors could be like, hop on the boat. We'll take you. You're a boxer. You're a track and field. Get on the boat. Let's go.
Why do you have so many people on the boat? Oh, don't worry. It's just sailing practice. Yeah. Sailing practice. A long jumper. He's out. But more and more high level Cuban athletes are fleeing. So not great.
Alexis Villa. Remember him? He didn't he run a van into an airport or something?
I don't remember that.
Right? He defected, and then I'm gonna look it up. He defected. He was coaching at Michigan State, and then I believe he ended up fighting after that. I think he maybe fought Joe Warren or something like that. I feel
really.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, in 2004, Villa accidentally crashed his car into that Fort Lauderdale Hollywood airport. No one was hurt. Authorities mistakenly believed it to be terrorism, but he just messed up.
He's just goofing.
Oh man, but no. Oh man, we gotta send him back to Cuba. He was arrested for charges including second-degree murder.
Oh,
whoops. That's probably not an accident.
Not ideal.
We should have known at the car crash into the airport. Yeah, but the interesting thing when you look at Pan Am's, which we'll probably transition and talk about just a little bit, but Cuba is like way down. Like they've been riding. They're
all leaving.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been wrestling their same group of like good guys for the past what feels like 10 years.
Yeah.
Almost. And then now you see this year at Pan Am's, I think they've only entered into the Olympic weights, and it's guys that are probably second or third tier, maybe, and probably will never like medal at Worlds, anything like that. Maybe like their 57 guy is decent, but after that, it's kind of rough going for them. And at first it was like, oh, maybe they've got their young guys coming in, but these guys are like 28, 29 years old, so they're just guys that have been around for a bit.
Yeah, that sucks because at Pan Am's, obviously, Cuba has long been the only like super competitive country with the United States, and with them kind of falling off or a little bit makes I don't want to say worthless, but it makes Pan Am's like who are we competing with? Canada sucks. Puerto Rico's getting better because they're getting a few of our athletes. Maybe Mexico's gonna get better if they start recruiting some Arizonans or something. Like they got one Valencia brother. Maybe get the other, steal the other one too. Then maybe it's more competitive. Other than that, Pan Am's is going to be easy peasy.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned that Cuba is only sending people at the Olympic weights, and that they're not medal threats. And typically, it seems like what we're seeing from Cuba is like if they're not really getting medals, if they're not medal threats, it's less likely they're going to send teams. I mean, there are a lot of times where they don't send very many guys, and so that's a bad sign for Cuban wrestling, I think, because if they do send this team that's not likely to medal at Worlds, and at Pan Am's, but if they send a team that's similar to Worlds and they don't medal, then it's like, are they even going to bother to send them in the future?
Yeah, they might actually be stronger at Greco now, Cuba, in comparison to their freestyle squad.
Not anymore. They lost their 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, not anymore. But yeah, it's funny. Like even look at Puerto Rico's team. 57, you got Darian Cruz. 61, you got Joey Silva. 65, you got Sebastian Rivera.
Nice.
74, Franklin Gomez, and then I think Ethan Ramos is in there too. So yeah, it's like all guys with American ties.
Yeah,
Bro, I'm looking up Cuban defection. They had a team in October of 2021, so like last fall in baseball. 9 people from the team defected.
what?
The whole
Where?
yeah.
Does it say?
It was in Mexico. I don't know if it was in Acapulco, but it was in Mexico. 9 of them defected.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Hold on, there's actually all the baseball players who've defected from Cuba. Wow, dude, bro, this list is like hundreds of people.
A lot of
Holy
people.
crap!
I mean, hopefully JD can bring us back a new co-host next week, and we can hear from
There you
Ishmael
go.
Barrero himself. That'd be great. I don't know if there's a Kozak thought maybe JD could try to adopt him, or maybe there's like
There you go.
some kind of, I don't know. There's got to be a way.
You guys could do a FloWrestling Greco team.
Yeah, why not?
There you go.
Someone needs to support Greco in America. Might as well be you guys.
Okay. Well, we will welcome Ishmael Barrero with open arms, I think.
Wow.
But that's pretty wild. Didn't expect to see Pan Am's on like BBC News. So there you go. But
It
Pan
is,
Am's,
if you look up Cuban baseball players that defect, it's in the hundreds for sure.
yeah, and I mean there's actually there's money a lot of times in baseball players, and I remember this there was a story, that guy Yasiel Puig, that guy that like licks the bat and stuff.
Oh yeah, he was really good, right? I don't know. I remember the name vaguely.
Yeah. I remember there were stories about like him getting defected, and there will be like baseball scouts or whatever that help them defect, but a lot of times they have to know that there's a contract in place for them before they'll defect. But the problem for these major league teams is they don't get a chance to like watch them play or try them out. So they have to take somebody's word for it. They're like, so they're hearing these stories about Yasiel Puig, like he's whatever, 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds, like just this monster. He can hit, he can do all this stuff. And they're like, man, we hope that's true. And they gave him, I can't remember what the contract was. I'm sure we could find it, but a pretty decent contract, sight unseen, having never watched him play or shaken his hand or anything. And then, somebody basically helped him escape and got out of there. And
But he was really good, right? Or no?
he ended up being really good, but you could get burned on a deal like that if you're like, no, I
for
promise this guy's outstanding, and then he shows up and it's not true. But it was in his case.
Dang, so this goes far. I didn't realize goes really far back. 1994, 3 Cubans defected. One of them was Jesus Wilson, which I believe he gained citizenship and competed in maybe the 2000 Olympic trials, maybe. And I think he was a Iowa or something to that effect. Then Lazaro Reynoso, and then another guy I never heard of defected.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe. I mean, I would imagine Ismael Barrero does not have a college degree, so maybe he shows up on one of these rosters. That'd be wild.
Iowa State style, yeah.
Iowa State. Yeah, he may do that. So although being an Olympic Greco Olympian, that doesn't even mean you be varsity at Grandview sometimes. So okay, Pan Ams do start today. It's not going to be super competitive, but there are a few matches. Kozak broke down some matches that'll be really fun to see. What'd you find, Kozak?
Yeah, I think it'll be good to see most of our number ones right at Pan Ams. And we should. I think last year we came away with all 10 golds in men's freestyle, right? So we very well could do that again. Looking through these brackets, for Gilman, the Cuban Alexi Alvarez, they wrestled 2 years ago or 3 years ago at the Oregon, and they had Gilman won. It was by tech fall, but it was a pretty competitive match, and it was real chippy. Actually, at one point, like the Cuban just flat out just smacked Gilman in the face. So that was fun. So if they wrestle again, that could be a fun match. Joey McKenna, and Sebastian Rivera, they could wrestle. I believe they'd have to meet in the finals. And then Dake, his best match will be Franklin Gomez, probably. But I think our best matches will be on the women's side of things. Kayla Miracle has Anna Godinez in her bracket. and they wrestled at the bout at the ballpark in like a really, really competitive match. Miracle got out to like a 6-0 lead, and then Godinez came back. Jakara Winchester has a U23 world champ in her weight from Ecuador, so that could be an interesting match. And then Dom Parrish, like I look at 53 kilograms for on the women's side of things, and it's like wide open. And there's a world medalist in her weight, Sam Stewart from Canada. And then Greco side of things, Giangelo Hancock, he's got a guy who's beaten him twice in the past, Mejia from Honduras, but it was like 6 years ago, and both of those matches were Tech Falls. So that would be a semifinal match for Hancock. So it'll kind of be interesting to see. I think that'll show us how much he's really progressed if he's able to win that match against Mejia.
So this guy that Giangelo's wrestling, his name is Kevin Mejia. You don't see a lot of Kevins in Honduras.
I don't know. I don't know the story behind that.
Well,
gotta get I'll contact his parents, see if they got Facebook or something.
I mean, hey, that's great.
Boom.
So there will be some decent matches, but the U.S. team is, I mean, it's really loaded. It's probably not a super tough sell to just like, hey, go to Acapulco and probably win a gold medal.
Yeah.
So as a result, we have very loaded team, men's freestyle team. Thomas Gilman, that's a world champ. Dayton Fix, world silver medalist. Joey McKenna, Zane Rutherford, Kyle Dake, Jordan Burroughs, Zahid, Jaden Cox, Kyle Snyder, Nick Gwizdowski. That's loaded. Women's team is really good too. Sarah Hildebrandt, Dom Parrish, Jakara Winchester, Helen Maroulis, Xochitl Motopedis, Kayla Miracle, Forrest Molinari, Alara Boyd, Skylar Grote, Diamond Guilford. So really good teams. And then obviously Giangelo wrestling for our Greco team. He's a medalist as well. So it'll be fun. It's a fun event, but it's a little bit like watching the old Hawkeye Showdown that Iowa used to have, where like you just know you're watching it because you're an Iowa fan and you want to see these guys win a lot of matches. That's kind of what Pan Am's is going to be, I would imagine. So that'll be fun. Okay, so we got some NIL developments. Maybe there's some legislations potentially in the mix, and some things that could maybe attempt to put some guardrails in place. But other
we got no rules right now.
There are no rules right now. There are other.
I didn't know about this guy you guys have in the doc. This John Ruiz. I don't think he's the boxer John Ruiz. He's going ham down there in Miami though.
That's insane. Yeah, the things that he's up to are crazy. But first, I want to read this kind of this paragraph.
I got excited about John Ruiz.
I know the guy's. Yeah, he's got 100 athletes on payroll.
He calls it a well-oiled machine that he's got going on down there. Yeah.
All right, so here's the paragraph. We're going to read this paragraph. This comes from a Sports Illustrated article. So it says several athletic administrators and college sports insiders discussed the transfer committee's concepts under the condition of anonymity. These are the concepts they included. 1, eliminating scholarship caps on sports that offer only partial scholarships. So wrestling is one of those. 9.9 scholarships for rosters of whatever 30. Just eliminating scholarship caps. You can give as many as you want. That's one of the proposals. 2, abolishing the limitation on the number of coaches per team. So just you can employ as many coaches as you want. That's nuts. Expanding direct payments from schools to athletes. Reconfiguring the recruiting calendar. I don't know exactly what that reconfiguration would mean. And then implementing closed periods in the NCAA transfer portal. And I don't know the
I think it would be
specifics.
Yeah, it would limit that transfer portal to which it already is, but I think it would limit it even more to when you can enter and when coaches can reach out.
I don't understand the meaning of that. You guys got any ideas for me?
The meaning of the
like why it's limited to certain windows.
I don't know for sure either. I wonder if it has to do with like in-season recruiting or that could be part of it. It's maybe easier to regulate if there's a date on it, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. But the last sentence here is important. It says at least the first 3 items. So the scholarship thing, the number of coaches, and direct payment will be left in the decision-making hands of individual conferences if the concepts are approved.
Yes, I did see that. Coach Smith was talking about this last week when I was at about how it will be regulated conference by conference, and he thought that meant people would do whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah,
sounds like it.
Yeah. So the changes that they're proposing for the portal is that it's only open 2 5-week periods. So one after the fall semester ends and one after the spring semester ends. So it just kind of like compacts it down and limits it so that I think probably so that guys can't enter like mid-year, mid-semester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting to look at that portal and when it picks up, because there are like there's this little bump in the portal a week or two after school starts in the fall. Freshmen, like all these guys that like got there, they're like, oh man, this is not what I expected. So they're out. I mean, think about these changes.
That is, man. That's I've talked about that a lot of times. Is dude, I don't want to say the college recruiting process is flawed because you don't have a solution. The idea that a 17-year-old kid is going to go 8 hours and know that that's where he wants to live.
Yeah.
Like, do you realize how flawed that a freaking 17-year-old? We're gonna trust his intuition on a 48-hour window.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap! And it's probably because he hung out with some cool dudes or saw some hot chicks. I mean, that's like right there. Holy crap.
It's a 48-hour window where you don't have like a early morning workout. You don't have a paper due. You don't have to go to class. Like you just go to the football game and hang out and have fun. And it's pretty unrealistic. If these things happen though, I mean, it seems like a sport like wrestling, it's going to make the gap between the haves and the have-nots extremely vast. Scholarship caps being, I mean, there are a lot of programs right now that don't have the 9.9, and that if they do, they've had to work super hard to make that happen. John Mark Bentley talked about that when he was on the program, that he's done a ton of work in fundraising, and now they're, I think, did he say finally getting up to 9.9? Imagine if like a bunch of these programs can expand that. I mean, you can imagine that like the top few programs, they're going to find the money, and after that, it's going to be really hard for the rest to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to poo-poo everything here, but I mean, part of me feels like the gap's already there. I mean, the haves and the have-nots right now, it's like it's pretty large. I mean, the amount of teams that actually win NCAA titles is a really, really, really small number.
Yeah, the gap between NCAA title teams and non-NCAA title teams is really big, but right now I don't think there's quite as big a gap between teams that are fighting for third and fourth on the trophy, for third and fourth place trophy, and then behind that, like teams that are fighting for the top 10. And it seems like that's where there could be a gap that would expand, and so a team that is able to kind of move from 35th to 10th over the course of 3 or 4 years of a new coach coming in, and that's a really cool thing. How likely is that to happen if they now are at a huge disadvantage in terms of scholarships and extra coaches and things like that?
Yeah, so I think you're right in the argument there, is that just some of these, let's even take like the top couple out of it, but like that next tier of maybe not so good Big Ten teams, but that will be really well funded. So, the argument would be that because they're more well funded, they're going to get more recruits, which that means those recruits are not then obviously going somewhere else, and they're going to win or do better than some of the less funded teams, not because they're better coaching or anything else, but simply because they have more resources. And I mean, I could see the argument there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when you combine the scholarships opening up with also the NIL opportunities, it's like those two things combined gives people that are well funded and have good resources even more of an advantage over maybe some of the smaller programs who don't have the same funding. So
the example from Miami though that's in here, this guy John Ruiz, you bring him up.
This guy's a legend.
He's a lawyer, which I mean you got to think that's a competitive advantage for him. He's a lawyer in Miami, and according to the article, his payroll includes more than 100 Hurricane athletes from a variety of sports. He expects to spend $10 million this year to have players from Florida like come compete at at Miami. And apparently he tweeted like from his own personal Twitter account that a former Kansas State guard transfer was coming to Miami, and he's got like a $400,000
ain't nothing you can do about it.
He's a basketball player. $400,000 NIL deal for a year, and he's like, hey, cool. He's the one tweeting about it. Like this is completely the Wild West.
Yeah, well, this is another article from Sports Illustrated. So there's like these two things going on at the same time. And at first I thought, oh man, these are like opposing one another, but really they like exist apart from each other. So there's like this one task force committee looking to open up like scholarships and coaches and that conversation. But then there's this other like task force and NCAA committee that's trying to bring regulation on NIL, because like essentially when the NIL was passed, they had very few guidelines, and they're like, all right, just do whatever your school says and whatever your state says.
Wasn't it because it happened so fast? Because I mean, their hand was, because the NCAA was so resistant to change, it had to get changed through the courts, right? And the court case, I think Alston was one. And so that was obviously then opened the floodgates, and everything had to happen so quickly because the NCAA had refused to change for so long.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But at the same time, the NCAA, I think, did anticipate like this happening, but they didn't anticipate it happening so fast. So they were planning like, okay, NIL is going to be a thing. Let's like make some guidelines around it, and let's create a way that we can regulate it, or at least it can be regulated. But then it was passed really quick, and so then they kind of dropped the guideline conversation, and that they had actually been working on for a year or two. That's kind of like what I've been reading about. But so now they're trying to like pick that conversation back up, which they're already a year behind. So essentially, like I think their first step is saying that NIL collectives or donors are going to be classified. They're going to be viewed as a branch of the athletic department, and they're not, technically allowed to reach out to prospective student athletes or athletes that are in a transfer portal. That's like the next guidelines that they're trying to get passed based on what's happened over the last year. So it is on like the NCAA's radar, but I think also within this conversation, because every state has their own set of guidelines and their own set of laws around it, the NCAA is afraid of creating a guideline that will go against the state law, and then they could be sued like because of all the money and the power around like the NIL people, that they have like this endless amount of resources that then they could in fact sue the NCAA. So like the NCAA is in this like weird position where they have to walk a line like, okay, we feel like we have to do some guidelines, but there's only so much we can do now. And so it's kind of the Wild West. So really the only guidelines they're looking at putting into place is like, all right, NIL people, boosters, they're not allowed to contact prospective student athletes or high school athletes. Whereas now in some states, like you can, it is legal for collectives or boosters to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the state it just seems like this is getting so hard to regulate and to keep track of, because now they're if the idea is that conferences are going to be in some way involved in making the decisions about what's above board and what's not, and then the states are also right now they're involved in deciding what schools can do and what they can't. It just seems like a situation where there is not any true governing body. There's no way to enforce anything, even if you do set these policies in place. And you got to imagine it's going to take like an outside organization to get involved, and there's been speculation that might be the IRS.
Well, and so we've been
the IRS. They're always going to get theirs. Don't worry about them. They will get theirs, guys.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. Like the IRS they are gonna regulate stuff, right? So they're going to make sure they get paid what they're supposed to. But anyways, we've been operating.
You guys remember your first bill from the IRS, and you think like, oh damn, I gotta pay this. I remember. I'm like, oh god, are you for real? I gotta pay these dudes.
I remember thinking, what? This much? Yeah. But no, we've been operating under the assumption, like this whole time, hey, coaches can't talk about NIL stuff with their athletes. That's not true in some states. Like some states, it's completely illegal, or it's completely legal for athletic departments and coaches to be in conversation with NIL collectives, with donors. It's entirely legal in those states. They can't do it for, like, pay for play. But so like BYU is a perfect example of this. They have an assistant athletic director on their staff, on their payroll, whose entire job is surrounding NIL stuff. And he basically, like, I listened to this interview with him, he brokered a deal with a local business, that the owner went to BYU. And so they have 85 football scholarships that they can offer. This business says, all right, we're going to give a scholarship to every walk-on for BYU football. That's 100. So they have a 115-man roster. So they give 30 full scholarships on top of their 85, and that was brokered. That was brokered by the athletic department, and the NCAA looked into it, and basically all they did was send a letter like, hey, how did this happen? And he's like, yeah, we're not under investigation. Like, this is legal in Utah. We can do this. So that's like kind of the craziness in all this is like other states have more strict laws surrounding it.
Yeah, and I mean the fallout for wrestling is that wrestling is going to just have to react to these policies that are being decided on for football and men's basketball, and just kind of react accordingly. And I don't think it'll be the end of the sport or anything like that, but it's just going to give the programs with a lot of donor support way more options to take advantage of for distancing themselves and so it's like the whole conversation about RTCs and does that give programs an unfair advantage of just the part about having more coaches on staff? Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of does, but now they could just hire more coaches if that's what they want to do. And they could say, hey, we don't need you competing anymore. Like, just be a coach. Like, just come here and train with our guys and be a coach. That changes things. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this stuff.
Very interesting. I know one of the things Coach Smith was worried about was that I guess there's current rules on how many sports that you have to be an NCAA Division I athletic program. And he was concerned that if they had if it was conference by conference, they'd be able to kind of choose their own things, and obviously they would be limited by Title IX because that's a federal law. Yeah. So they could say, oh, we only want 10 sports. It's football, basketball, and 8 women's sports, or something to that effect, like, per conference.
Yeah. What else did he say? Were there any other insights from talking with Coach Smith? That
was one, and then I want to say the other one was something like if the scholarships are unlimited, and some program right now, some athletic department right now might say, well, hey, 9.9, that's fine, and we can keep up and we can finish top 20 every year or whatever, right? But if it becomes where some programs are giving 15 or 20 or whatever, and then, like, to your point, the 9.9 is less effective to get athletes, they might say, we don't want to spend 20 scholarships on this sport, so we're going to be done with it. And I don't know if that's to be wrestling or another sport, but obviously that would be negative for some sports, or obviously they gave football way more, right? Now that there's only so much money to go around.
Yeah. And the thing that becomes really tough is, like, let's say you are a program that can finish around the top 20 with your 9.9, and let's say the average rank of a recruit on the big board that you pull in of a guy that's going to be a starter is, let's say that average is like around a 40th or something like that on the big board. If all of a sudden a bunch of programs have 15, it's like you're 9.9. Now the average ranking of the guy that you're pulling in probably is a lot lower. And so you're spending the same amount of institutional resources on what is going to be a worse team, and that just may not make sense for some of these programs. Tyler was asking me in the office yesterday, like, what changes would we make? And I don't know. What would you do, Kozak? Would you make any changes here?
For what?
this NIL stuff and
guidelines, regulations, and stuff.
You got the gavel. You're the judge.
You're the judge.
I don't know. Honestly, I think you just open it up. Let's just open it up. Make it to where not like anything is legal, but if you're gonna try to regulate it, it's just I think it was in one of these articles where it was like you try to regulate it, and the people that follow the rules are the ones who are at a disadvantage. They get burned. Yeah. So in my opinion, I just say, hey, let's just open it up. Maybe you make a salary cap or something like that, but. I
mean, the ideal for me, like I've been a big bang on the drums of pay the athletes, but for me, it's like the athletes. Ideally, it's like the athletes get paid what they're worth, right? So if Rudis wants to sponsor a company, Rudis will then expect to sell like they did Spencer Lee, right? Yeah. That's a real deal. Like they're expecting to sell shoes and merchandise and this stuff like this. And this was not like a deal to get Spencer Lee to wrestle at some college for them, right? It was an actual NIL deal.
Yeah.
I am hugely in favor of that. But what it seems more than anything right now is that people are literally just using the NIL to get the athletes they want for the program that they want them at, which is like, but then again, how do you regulate what a real deal is, right? Because like this guy's got John Ruiz, he's got a law firm. How do you, I don't know, he's got a couple companies.
Cigarette racing
how
company.
Can I, yeah, cigarette, but how can I say that's not beneficial to his company? Like, how am I actually going to prove that? Am I going to go in and find his books and find, what resources are tied to a specific athlete? And then obviously, I'm sure every company makes some bad sponsorship investments. So we're going to, say, oh, that was, you didn't really mean to make money off that. You just wanted to happen what you wanted to happen. So it's like, yeah, I think it's almost impossible. I wish we could all operate under the guidance of what we wanted the rule to be, not like just something else.
All right, here's my idea. This is completely crazy.
Uh-oh.
Completely crazy. So like, The thing that is, think about wrestling. Like the thing that has the most value that can draw eyeballs to is NCAA wrestling, because people love these teams and these programs, and they love the sport, right? But what they really love is like the branding of the team. So what if we just like did away with the whole idea of student athletes and just these universities could license their team name and just create like a professional league, like no eligibility requirements, no whatever. Like Jordan Burroughs could still be wrestling for Nebraska. Like
that would be awesome.
Like it's just you just let the universities license out the team name. You know what I mean? Yeah, somebody could sign you, and then I mean, if you want, each sport governs itself. So like U17, U20, all of those could be like developmental branches of the Iowa Hawkeyes and Penn State Nittany Lions and whatever. And I think people would probably tune in more to those tournaments if they had a team component that was tied to it. But
already built around
it is fascinating how much people get into like the college sporting thing. And because so obviously basketball and football have real professional leagues, but in a lot of the other sports like wrestling draws gigantic crowds for the college championships, for a lot of college duels, for conference tournaments. Like these are really big crowds. These are people who are really into it. And yet like, the Olympic trials and world trials are starting to get good crowds, but like the US Open's got a terrible crowd.
Yeah.
Not good at all. I don't know if there's ever been like an RTC duel with even 500 people in the audience, so it's like, why can this one thing draw this huge crowd? It's essentially the same sport, right? We're doing the same thing, but we can't draw huge crowds. And so to me, it is so funny how the branding and, architecture around college sports allow for such big audiences. And yet when you do the exact same sport without that same architecture, you can't draw anywhere close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it is. It's super weird, but I think universities would still benefit from having strong athletic presence, and general students would still come there. And I don't know, maybe there's a way for a student to be part of the team, but I just who cares? Just take away the student athlete
Let's
thing.
make it pro.
Who cares? Just make it completely pro. They don't have to go to school there. You can. I mean, that'd be wild. At the end of the season, instead of a transfer portal, you could make a trade. You could do whatever. Like it would be really interesting.
But then I don't know if any. How many are actually profitable?
Not very many.
It's not very
also true.
many. I mean, I don't know, the NCAA so the wrestling is actually starting to get really good audiences on television. So those contracts are worth something. So if you split them up, right, to like the NCAAs, do they dole out money to institutions based on the wrestling championships, or it's probably is one contract for all of the championships, correct?
I don't know how that works. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know
It'd
for
be
sure how
interesting
that
to see
works.
how it would all break down if it could pencil. Even if people are probably gonna kill me for saying this, but even if it was only the NFL's 25 to 30 teams, right? If it was even 25 to 30 teams, I know we have 75 or whatever right now,
Yeah.
but even if it was only 25 to 30, like you could still have a really damn good league,
Yeah.
and be exciting, and a lot of people can wrestle.
And maybe then maybe what it becomes is like there are 20, 25 or 30 in that league. And then, I mean, there are tons of wrestling programs at the lower college levels and other D1 programs that maybe aren't in that league. So maybe then there's still like a scholastic element where people are there to develop because they want to get whatever it is drafted or whatever. I don't know.
Obviously, like at the Division III level, there's no scholarships, right? So just because they want to participate in wrestling and they love wrestling and they enjoy it, so they want to continue doing it. So yeah, maybe you could have like a no scholarship, no NIL league because the Division III kids, they're not getting scholarship in NIL.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not a well-formed idea. It's probably a terrible idea, but
I don't know. I think we're solving the world's problems here on this show.
It's like if you just license out the thing that has value and then take away the rest. I don't know.
Hey, are you guys? It is Cinco de Mayo. Are you guys having tacos delivered to the office?
Not tacos, but we're having
what?
We're having a
lunch celebration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cinco de Mayo. I think
there might be tacos.
Maybe it is tacos. I think it's. I can't remember.
I didn't read the email.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, we are. We're having a little Cinco de Mayo celebration.
Are you? Are you celebrating?
I need to go. I need to go make some tacos. I made some Tuesday night. So we had a Taco Tuesday.
That's good. Ben, yesterday you were saying you looked at the World Team Trials, the cadet team from 2016, and looked at like the podium, and not a ton of the guys on the podium placed, but Kozak broke down a while back how well the actual world team, the guys that make the team, tend to do in college. Yeah, the number ones, and man, that was a pretty compelling team in 2016. It doesn't start off like incredible, but get a load of this team. 2016 Cadet World Team. Kurt McHenry started off. We know he hasn't cracked the lineup at Michigan yet. Malik Heinzelman, he's had a solid college career. Aaron Cashman, not a ton there. But then RBY, Vito, Yanni, David Carr, Travis Whitlake, Jacob Warner, Gable Stevenson. Those guys have gone on to do pretty well.
Yes, sir. So, the number ones obviously are they did pretty well, but yeah, I mean, when you look at the whole thing, it's not as compelling.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, good. Hopefully a good sign. It seemed like last year you found that they're pretty good trend.
Yeah. I threw an article link in the doc as well. And I did this last year. Was looking at the last 10 years of Cadet World teams and how they did at the NCAA level. And it seemed like the line of like NCAA success is really like medaling at Cadet Worlds. There are like exceptions to that, but even if you look at the guys who medaled,
these are all in this article. This is all of the medals.
All of the medals, and then
they've all done pretty well.
Yeah,
huh?
all the medalists. So they all did really good, and those are the guys who have also attained either All-American status or they won an NCAA champ.
Wait. So the first one is medalists who've done well, and the second one is essentially medalists who've not.
Yeah, but what's interesting though is you look at that second list. So this wasn't updated, obviously, from this year. So you have guys like Will Lewan, Gavin Hoffman, even Matt Ramos. He was like round of 12. Facundo he redshirted. McGowan's still in high school. So like really, you look at guys that medal at Cadet Worlds. Those are the guys who are pretty proven on the next level. There are exceptions: Mason Manville, Jared Verclearen, Owen Webster. But yeah, it's interesting. And then there's guys too that if you keep scrolling down who didn't medal and then they go on to have success as well. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. That's really good. So it's good. We talked a lot this week about our cadet team, and I think those are people you're gonna want to pay attention to. Okay, a little bit of senior level talk. We've got a last chance World Team Trials qualifier coming up. Is it next weekend? I think it's next weekend. Might be the weekend after. It's coming up.
I think it's next weekend.
And so a few guys that are not qualified yet. Sam Latona at 61 kilos, but 70 kilos is a weight class with a whole bunch of really good guys not yet qualified. Not sure who's going to go to that last chance qualifier, but could potentially see a bracket that includes Yaya Thomas, unless he's going 65 kilos. Yaya Thomas, Ja'Cory Teamer, Ed Scott, Brock Mahler, Austin Gomez. That's a fun bracket.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 70 is
where did you pull these names from? Because are you guys, talking about people who've already just competed in freestyle regularly? Or, I mean, because obviously, some of these lighter weights you could pull, say, is RBY qualified, for example?
Yeah.
He would be NCAA. Yeah, right.
Yeah, top 3. NCAA.
So any top 3 NCAA, I guess, are not on this list, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the guys that have competed freestyle in the past, either made like a team or something, and just missed qualifying at NCAAs. So Ja'Cory Teamer took 6th. Ed Scott, Brock Mahler, Austin Gomez took 4th, and then like Kirkfleet, he injury defaulted out of the 3rd, 4th place match, so he's not qualified. And he's a guy who I could like see him. He might be the main competition for Gwiz. He's not qualified yet.
So that's a big one. Kirkfleet, Wyatt Hendrickson at 125 also. He's not qualified yet.
Let's go.
And yeah, U23 5th in the world last year. Nate Jackson not qualified. IMR not qualified. Very curious if we'll see those guys. So I think of all of those names, Kirkfleet, like you said, he's the one that could make the biggest impact. We've seen it happen before. Thomas Gilman, JD's not here, but because he would be talking about Daniel DeShazer, but Thomas Gilman, right? He was in the last chance and then went and won a medal. So it'll be interesting to follow that. Kozak made some potential brackets for the World Team Trials. He took a stab at seeding, and so we've got a few of the brackets that'll be kind of the more competitive ones, or maybe more interesting brackets. So 65 kilos.
Has Maple committed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yesterday on the Bader show, he said he's all in.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. He's like, that guy is like, he's very cool to listen to. Listen to that interview if you haven't. He just, it's like so competitive. He always believes he's going to win, but like now he's wrestling with the newfound freedom. And apparently they've been working a lot on like developing skills for kind of the mental side of wrestling and how to approach competition and how to eliminate, or not eliminate, but deal with fear and those type of things. And he's like, man, I never did these things exactly as an athlete. And so he's like reading and studying and growing in that way. And he's like, now I had to put it to practice for myself as an actual competitor. And he's like, man, it actually works. And so he didn't give away all the secrets. He said you have to come to Missouri if you're a top recruit, and then you'll find out. But yeah, so he'll be the 1 seed because he won that. The bracket, Pat Lugo will be the 8 seed potentially. That's a match we saw. Lugo was Kendrick Maple's toughest match at World Team Trials, so that'd be an interesting one. Nick Lee, Matt Kolodzik, you have as the 4-5. Why did you go Yanni 2, McKenna 3, Nick Lee 4? Why do you think they're going to do that?
Yeah. So that's the other part of this is gives us something to talk about as far as how the seeding goes. So I chose to do that because Yanni's the returning world team member at the weight, and I think that trumps a loss from the 2021 Olympic trials last April. And Nick Lee didn't compete at World Team Trials, so I don't think they'll reward him for that win more than they'll reward Yanni for making a world team. And then Joey McKenna and Nick Lee, they never wrestled. Joey McKenna made the finals of the Olympic trials, and he made the finals of the World Team Trials. So I feel like USA Wrestling, or whatever, the seating committee, will reward that more than taking third at Olympic trials. That was my reasoning behind it. There is a chance that maybe they say, Nick Lee above Yanni, but I don't know.
I don't like that, given that Yanni made the world team later on. It's like Nick Lee had that opportunity also and chose to forego it, so therefore he should be punished for foregoing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If this is what the bracket looks like, I would think most people would predict that the top 4 seeds would make it to the semis.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kendrick Maple, Nick Lee, that's pretty spicy.
I feel like Maple's like down block go behinds baseline defense is so good. I feel, Nick Lee's can obviously try to put the pace on and volume shoot. I feel like that kind of plays into what Kendrick Maple wants to do.
Okay. So you'd take Kendrick in that matchup probably.
Also, he's a Mizzou coach, so I am going to be significantly biased.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I for the story, like that's what I want to see Kendrick Maple come through to Final X for the story. And I do think he has a style that can work. I think he's big enough for 65 kilos, even though he's competed at 61. That's a match that I would love to see Nick Lee, Kendrick Maple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. I don't know, man. Nick Lee at the Olympic trials last year looked almost, he got beat, but almost unbeatable after he got beat. He looked incredible. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, Nick Lee, he's a guy who we have such a limited data on in the freestyle realm of things because he hasn't really wrestled much on the senior level. And so I think sometimes our opinion of guys can be so whoa, look at what he just did in college. He was untouchable. Yeah. And it reminds me almost of Brent Metcalf. Man, this guy's unbeatable. And then, he goes to the World Championships and goes 0-1, or has a hard time making the team. And I don't know, I just don't know what to expect from Nick Lee freestyle based off of he had one really great Olympic trials, and that was on the backside after he lost to Jordan Oliver 8-3. So it's what does it even mean?
So yeah, what does it mean? It's a good question. Ben, you see Kendrick getting past Nick Lee if they meet. What do you think about Kendrick Maple and matchups with either McKenna or Yanni?
Kendrick, Maple and Yanni is going to be totally wild. I don't know which way to go on that one. I guess I'll just wait and see. Sometimes when I'm not confident, I'm just going to say, wait and see, so I don't look like an idiot.
Hopefully, we'll have several weeks to talk about that, or I don't know about hopefully, but maybe we'll have several weeks to talk about that matchup if he gets through.
Because the finals is not happening until Final X.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we've seen McKenna steal a match from Yanni before. He's done it twice, hasn't he?
Yep.
So as a semifinal for Yanni, it's man, you got 6 minutes, anything can happen. I don't know if that's the one you really love, but you probably figured you were going to see McKenna anyway if you're Yanni. But that'll be a really fun semifinals for sure.
It is the U.S. Open because it's really because of the U.S. Open and the reward of the number 1 seed that we have it this way, right? Because if it was just throw them all in there and seed them how you would, not based on the U.S. Open champ, I don't know where Kendrick Maple sits. He's probably the 4.
Yeah.
He'd probably be behind Nick Lee. So then that would set up Yanni, Kendrick Maple, semi, and then Nick Lee, Joey McKenna. So that just really does shake up the entire bracket. And as a result, a week ago it was, hey, it's kind of a funny story of a coach who made a bet and now he's going to wrestle again. To I think he has a legitimate shot.
This dude might be on the world team.
He has a legitimate shot. What if Kendrick Maple breaks the curse? What if Kendrick Maple is the first medalist since Zadig?
Oh my God, that would be we would owe Keegan O'Toole some thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta
He gets half
breaking
of
the curse.
He gets half of the living the dream fund or whatever.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
He'll have to start. He'll have to start brokering all of our deals. He'll be our.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be our whatever Ruiz.
Our proxy. Yeah.
Whatever.
Lead negotiator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He'll be our Miami Hurricane. Yeah. Okay. That'd be great. But I can't wait. Kind of hope this is how the seeds look. All right, 70 kilos. Alec Pantaleo is going to have the 1 seed because he won the U.S. Open. So you've got Blockus at the 8, then the 4-5, Tyler Berger, Zane Rutherford, then the 3-6, Jordan Oliver, Doug Zapp, then the 2-7, Sammy Sasso, Ryan Deacon. I don't think there's probably not much of a chance that anybody other than the top 4 would come through to the semis, although I'm curious about a Tyler Berger, Zane Rutherford match. Would like to see it.
I'd lean Rutherford on that one. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of in the same spot that we were last year minus James Green. I don't really think there's been any huge developments or anything that we would change our mind about. And I think kind of any of the top 4 could win this for sure.
The matchups are going to matter a lot here, and if this is how the seeds go, Zane Rutherford has kind of always been Alec Pantaleo's kryptonite.
Yes.
Pantaleo just has not been able to beat him. So he's the 1 seed. He looked really good at the Open, beat Jordan Oliver. He's Jordan Oliver's kryptonite. If they're on the same side, it's like, you lean Pantaleo, but with Zane Rutherford at the 4, that's a tough one for Pantaleo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think these seeds are like, whereas 65 is a little speculation, these are like very clear because Deacon made World Team Trials Finals last year. Jordan Oliver beat Zane Rutherford. I think that's the pretty clear 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think you look at this and maybe the only thing you could throw in there is maybe Deacon doesn't wrestle. And so then J.O. Zane Rutherford would be down at the 2, 3.
Yeah.
Ryan Deacon and Jordan Oliver have not wrestled. Deacon gets it done in freestyle at this level typically. Any reason to pick J.O. in that match?
I mean, J.O., it's obviously going to be competitive because how many times has J.O. got his butt kicked? It's a really, really small number. Yeah, I mean, Deacon's generally good at getting in the legs and, maybe not scoring off super clean attacks, but once he gets in, he's able to, pull it in, suck it up and score. I think the only pushback would be can Oliver keep him off the legs to a point where he can't get to him?
Yeah. That'll be very interesting to find out. But this bracket seems like anybody from the top 4 could potentially come out. I think I would lean Deacon. Based on the history, probably a Deacon Zane Rutherford final, and I don't know how that match goes either. I don't know. Deacon's the guy that's gotten it done more at this level, but well, no, not really. I mean, Zane's been on teams. He just doesn't seem maybe quite the same.
I think you think that because Deacon has got it done compared to what your expectations of him were, whereas your expectations of Zane were like insanely high because of what he did in the college level.
And just at 70 kilos, I think Deacon has had more success than Zane at this particular weight class. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No idea.
Okay, what else? We got 79 kilos. This is another one where...
Is Shiraki really going to wrestle?
I don't know. He said he's going to. I mean, no, he didn't say he's going to wrestle, but he said he's going to beat all these guys at the trial. What did he say on Twitter?
I think he just said he's been putting stuff out there like, I'm going to knock them all off. I want them all. Yeah, stuff like that.
Man, is he the favorite in this bracket? Might be.
Yeah, he might. Pretty cool for Braden Thompson to be on this list. He was 6th at the U.S. Open, just in high school. So really good performance from him. McFadden, Thompson, Carter Strachey, Taylor Lujan, Daringer, Marsteller, Makai Lewis, Vincenzo Joseph. That was an NCAA final. Vincenzo has beaten Makai Lewis in freestyle since their NCAA finals. So you would probably lean Chenzo Daringer. What about a rematch there? Can Chenzo do it again?
Yeah, can Chenzo do it again? And honestly, right, so we don't have that one upset. And I think we're all saying Daringer is the really clear favorite to go wrestle Jordan Burroughs. And now maybe we don't feel like that, but I don't know. I'd still probably lean Daringer as the favorite, Starocki right behind him, and then Vincenzo, can you do it again? I think we've all probably doubted Vincenzo Joseph a little too much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm split on where to lean here.
Earlier you said maybe Strachey's a favorite, so you think probably a Strachey Strachey Daringer final?
I mean, I don't know. McFadden's another guy that he's obviously shown huge improvement. Given his college career, you wouldn't expect him to be being at this level, but he's doing a great job. He seems to be continuing to get better. He's a threat too.
McFadden was on the Bader show earlier this week, and he was telling an interesting story. They had a PRTC kind of meeting with Slay and like the team, and Slay was talking about potential matchups and stuff, and he was talking to Jordan Burroughs about 79 kilos in Final X, and he said, he's like, well, Jordan, it's, you probably got to start thinking about preparing for Daringer or Carter Strachey. Like those are a couple guys that are pretty likely to come through or whatever. And then
McFadden was in the room.
Yeah, and then he pulled McFadden aside afterwards, and he's like, "Did that piss you off?" And McFadden was like, "Yeah." He's like, "It really bothered me." He's like, "Well, do something about it." Go, and
oh, well, that's good.
And he said that was like a big motivation for him going into the U.S. Open. And so when he was like in these super competitive matches with Marsteller, with Vincenzo Joseph, like that's in the back of his mind. Like, I got to do something about this. Like, if I want to be the guy that's pushing Burroughs, that's got a chance, like I've got to do something about it right now. And he said that was a big motivating factor for him. That's an interesting tactic.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. That's great. But yeah, I sent Tyler some Carter Strachey tweets because I love them. They're really good. He's pretty bold on Twitter. So Nomad tweeted something out about 79 kilograms at the U.S. Open. Strachey just says, line them all up. One by one, they go down.
Okay.
Well, he better show up because
I know, right?
I'm good with talking trash, but only if you're willing to show up and back it up. So I know how he shows up.
I like the other one, which I didn't know he had surgery.
He must have his hand, right?
Yeah, this one's pretty good. He said, "Daddy's back. After a long journey of the injury and surgery, I'm fully healed, going 100 miles per hour, full speed.
Wow.
When adversity comes, there's still no backsteps. March forward always." And he's posted another one since the U.S. Open. I want them all, and then also kill switch on. So he likes those little phrases.
Okay.
Daddy's back.
Daddy's back.
Daddy's back. So, but I mean, it's worth noting, Luan did beat Strachey at World Team Trials last year, so that's why I had him at the 4 and Strachey at the 5. So, and like Nick Lee, we've seen such limited results out of Carter. It is kind of hard to project how he's going to do, but I think pretty highly of him.
What if he shows up to the trials with a singlet that says "Daddy's back"?
Oh my God.
I love it.
That'd be great.
I think Kill would probably kick him off the team for something like that.
I mean, he might have an NIL deal in place. He might be fine. He might be, good to go. Okay, so interesting one there, and then 86 is the last bracket that you seeded. Mark Hall's got the 1 seed because he won at the U.S. Open. Looks like Owen Webster the 8. So Trent Hidley, Aaron Brooks in the 4 or 5 spots. It's a match we've seen. And then Miles Martin, Parker Keckheisen, the 3-6. Zahid Valencia.
Going.
You don't think so?
I threw him in there just for fun.
Dang it.
Okay.
Bummer.
So our bracket's completely busted.
Well, I mean, if he sees this,
if
he sees this and like, I could get the 6 seed. Maybe he goes.
Maybe he goes.
No,
yeah.
I didn't know where to put Aaron Brooks either. Just because he's only been at the Olympic trials and he lost to, who did he lose to? Zahid and Pat Downey there. He didn't. I don't know if he beat anybody worth noting. So I didn't know because you could make a case for him at the 3. I think that's maybe where he like really belongs. But then you could also put him at like the 5 as well.
Keckheisen, maybe we need Keegan to make a bet with him about.
Oh, there we go. Let's do that.
Coming. Yeah, that'd be good. If this is how the bracket plays out, the top side is pretty interesting. Just Aaron Brooks, right? What do we make of him?
Exactly.
Aaron Brooks, Mark Hall. I would love to see that match.
That's fun.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and then you got they will wrestle the final here because we got David Taylor sitting in Final X. So what does Aaron Brooks, Zahid Valencia match look like in freestyle? I think that's one I would really want to see as well.
Yeah. So the U.S. Open, I mean, it really created some interesting brackets. So it'll be good to follow that stuff. I think that's the main stuff that I had. Anything else that we should talk about before we go? We may give people a little extra time back on their Cinco de Mayo.
I got nothing. I'm gonna go take a pee. I'm gonna maybe I'll make a breakfast taco for myself to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I think my wife's off doing something. All the kids are at school. Maybe I'll go throw some disc or something.
Throw some discs, eat some tacos, celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Man, thank you guys for starting your Cinco de Mayo with us. We enjoyed starting with you guys. Next week's a brand new week. Will we be back? Will we force Christian Piles and JD Raider to abscond?
JD Raider's not coming back, Malcolm. He might abscond.
He may abscond. If he absconds, we'll see you next week. Otherwise, you'll see CP and JD probably, and Ben, of course, as always. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo and have a good weekend.
Yeah.